Hello, thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today I'm going to talk about some of my favorite things. I have been doing favorites videos literally since I started my YouTube channel. It started out as monthly favorites and then I transitioned to quarterly favorites with categories, and now I'm going to stick with, for now, this is an example of how you're always allowed to change your mind. I'm going to stick with quarterly favorites, but I am just going to do 10. I'm not going to try to fit into categories. I think it's going to be more beneficial for you to see what has really been helping me and like the favorite things that are really helping me in my life if I just am picking 10 things. And some of them are going to be physical things, and some of them are going to be media type things, and some of them are going to be habits, things that I've implemented. But overall, I think it'll be better for both of us, and hopefully you still find these videos helpful, and I'm not worried about fitting everything into categories. So I'm kind of using the lens of the Lazy Genius. If you have never heard me talk about her, I'd be shocked. I love her book, I love her podcast, I love her Instagram, everything about the Lazy Genius. She is the best, and one of the things that she does on her podcast is called What is Saving My Life? And she just lists things kind of like this, where sometimes it's books, sometimes it's habits, sometimes it's people that are saving her life. And that's kind of the lens I took. Like, what is saving my life right now? And then also, what are the things that I am just absolutely loving and I want to tell you about? So let's kick it off. These are also in no particular order. I'm not like, this is not going from like 1 to 10 or 10 to 1. I just literally, like, as they came out of my brain, which I guess may be from 1 to 10, but some things I feel like came to me quicker because it is a typical favorite, which is a book. The first thing we're starting with is a book. I probably will always keep talking about books in my favorites videos. I do also talk about books in my monthly newsletter that I send out. So if you're not on my email list, I send out one email a month that is very short and sweet. It's like a personal life update, a goal tip, and then what I read in the prior month. So honestly, I can't remember if I talked about, I think I'd already finished the first book in this series in the newsletter that went out in November. So if you get the newsletter, you've heard about this, and that is the Seven Sisters series. So this was recommended to me by one of you way back when, before I was leaving for my honeymoon. I asked you for a lot of recommendations for series. It helps my reading momentum so much if I am reading a series that I can just move into the next one. Although sometimes it also kills my momentum, which we'll talk about in a second. But having series really can help me with reading momentum. And so I asked for series recommendations, especially ones that were maybe a little bit fantasy oriented. I was kind of dipping my toe into that genre. And somebody recommended the Seven Sisters, and the first one was available on Kindle Unlimited. So I downloaded that one and was like, if I like it, I'll keep buying them and read the rest of them. And I loved the first one. Loved, loved, loved. Immediately downloaded the second one. Loved the second one. I'm struggling right now with the third one. I kind of feel like it's killed my momentum a little bit. I'm not as into the third one. I don't want to spoil anything about the books for you, but the premise is that there's actually 6 sisters right now. Like, I feel like the 7th one is coming at some point, right? There's like a thread that weaves them all together besides them just being sisters, but they're about the sisters in their age order. And I really did relate to sister 1 and sister 2, especially like as someone who is the oldest. Like, I had a lot of similarities, and I don't feel like I'm clicking as much with the third sister, which is bound to happen. Like, there's gonna be characters that you don't click with, but there isn't a character yet in this book that I feel like I've clicked with yet. I'm probably like 30 to 40% of the way through as of the time I'm filming this. So I'm really trying. I want to get through because I can see the theme, like the thread of the story that's happening through all of them. And I really, really, really want to know what's going on there. So I am going to power through, but I think it is killing my momentum a smidge with reading. But I highly recommend the first 2, and those 2 have absolutely been a favorite this quarter. All right, the next thing on my favorites list should also come as no surprise to you if you follow me on Instagram, and that is football. I am so thankful that football is back. My teams have had a little bit of like this season. There's been a lot of ups and downs. Overall, they're still both doing decent. As of the time that I'm filming this video, they both lost over the weekend, so I'm still a little bit sad about that, but it has been just, I'm so thankful. I'm thankful to have football back. I've been able to spend a lot of time watching games with other people, like my family members when I'm with them or they're with me, being able to watch with friends, both college and NFL. I'm a fan of both. If you haven't heard me talk about it, my college team is the Texas Longhorns and my pro team is the Dallas Cowboys, and I love football. I love football so much. Hopefully you can appreciate this, that on this Sunday after I'm filming this video, I am going to the Eagles bar with my 3 dance friends who are Eagles fans. I watched the Eagles-Cowboys game with them at an apartment, but we're venturing to a bar. They're not playing the Cowboys, they're playing the Colts, but I'm going into the Eagles bar. I'm a little scared. All right, the next thing on my list is actually an Instagram account, and this account was recommended to me by Tammy, who is a member of our community. I adore her oh so much. If you don't follow Tammy, I also would recommend following her, but she recommended following Nedra on Instagram, and I will leave her Instagram link down below. And she posts on Instagram stories, so you like favorite her stories every single day, a little bit of advice or a tip or something called she calls them Nedra nuggets, and it's almost always exactly what I needed to hear that day. It is absolutely perfect. I like literally, I look forward to opening Instagram every day to see what she is sharing that day, and it has really, really, I think, made a difference in my enjoyment of Instagram this quarter. Really, it's mostly this last month. I can't remember when I started following her, but I absolutely love her. I highly recommend that you follow her. And I am also here to request, if you have any other accounts that are like this that you follow, that you love, I'm really looking to revamp my Instagram feed in 2023 to really be filled with like things like that in accounts like hers. All right, the next thing on my list should also come as no surprise to you if you watched the video that went up last week, which is the HB90 system. This has absolutely made a 100% massive, like 180 pivot in my ability to plan and manage and execute projects for work. Like hands down, this system changed my life. Not even just saving my life, but right now it has absolutely changed my life. And I posted a video last week showing all of the process that I go through to set up my system like I talked about it on a quarterly basis, and then I showed it on a monthly and weekly and daily basis. And I just couldn't not include it in this video. When this video is going live, it is almost time for you to be able to sign up for the December course, which I highly recommend if you are considering this system. I said it in that video, and I'll just make sure that I say it again here. I do think that her system is really best geared towards like work or business related goals. I think it would be a lot for personal goals. I haven't personally tried it. She does use it for personal goals, but I think it might be a lot for personal goals. So if you have a business or you have flexibility with your job that you are like managing and in control of your time and your projects, highly recommend it. All right, the next thing on the list is actually just something fun, and I was thinking about it, it probably could have snuck into the last quarterly favorites video because it was really from our honeymoon, but then it kind of carried its way into the fall, and that is a game, and it is Bananagrams. This is not a new game by any means, but I bought it, I think I put it as a stocking stuffer for Sam, not even last year, but I think it was 2020, because we stopped doing stockings actually in 2021. That is a whole nother story, but my mom was like, needed to take things off her plate, and stockings were one of the things to go. Anyways, I got this for Sam a while ago, and we had it at home and like never touched it, never played it. And I threw it in my suitcase for our honeymoon because I knew that I had built in some rest time on our honeymoon, and that Sam was not necessarily like a sit and do nothing kind of person. So I threw it in my suitcase. I also threw in a deck of cards and then one other card game that I do actually also really like, but we haven't continued playing that. We've continued playing Bananagrams. Like if we're at home, if we're watching TV, or one of us will be like, do you want to play Bananagrams? And we've been playing at home. And so if you're looking for a good two-player game, and I usually am not a word game person, words are not my strong suit, math and numbers are my strong suit, and words are Sam's area of expertise, and maybe not area of expertise, I mean, he is a financial advisor. He also is good with numbers, but he is much better at like Scrabble than I am. But there's something about Bananagrams, we're still pretty neck and neck. Like we haven't kept an overarching like who's won more games, but I feel like it's pretty close to even. We both win pretty much the same amount of time. So I highly recommend it. I just got it on Amazon. It's not that expensive, so possibly a good stocking stuffer for somebody in your life. All right, the next thing on here is also something I talked about in that Plan With Me planning system video that went up last week, and that is my weekly to-do list. I started creating a weekly to-do list that has split up by days, but then also a general section. And normally, like this is one of those things that I've tried before, it hasn't worked, and what I think is working now is that I'm splitting it up by days, and so I am being thoughtful about what goes on what day, but then I also am realistic about like if the things on this list don't get done, that's okay. This list is like an above and beyond kind of thing, whereas if it is that important that it has to get done, it gets a space in my calendar. But this is the like supplementary to-do list, and that means I carry things over from week to week, and that's okay, but it has really been helping me get things out of my head and feel less overwhelmed, even though I also have this massive to-do list staring at me. I think this is one of those things that works for some people and doesn't for others, so just because you see it working for me doesn't necessarily mean it's the answer for you, but it is something that I think, especially from a personal to-do standpoint, has really been saving my life this quarter, so I had to include it. All right, the next thing on my list is something I've gotten a lot of questions about this quarter, and that is this pink dress, pink, purple, depending on who you ask, fuchsia dress that I have worn to a couple of weddings. So I got this dress. This is also a little bonus Instagram that I love to follow, Carolyn Morand on Instagram. Love following her, love her beauty, like her, not beauty, like makeup and stuff recommendations, but her clothing recommendations were about the same size. So I always love seeing stuff on her body and like trying to figure out if it can work for me. And I really love following her on Instagram. Well, she has created her own clothing with Amazon, like in conjunction with Amazon. And she's got a lot of stuff, and it is not inexpensive by any means. I mean, it's a beautiful product. It's well worth the price, but it's not like, sometimes when I shop on Amazon, I know I'm buying inexpensive products. So I haven't bought a ton of stuff from her, but she posted about this dress in August, and I was like, this is gonna be absolutely perfect for the fall weddings that we have. And it was. I am so glad that I bought it. I will say I wish I had sized down. I'm typically a large in like dresses, like if I'm shopping at like Old Navy or like typically Amazon dresses. And so I got the large. It's actually a little bit too big. I really probably would have preferred the medium. It's got one of those little clasps that she's like, you know, you can clasp it for it to be more covered or leave it open for a little bit more cleavage. Even the clasp version still gives me, like, there's still a little bit of cleavage because it's a little bit big. It is something I've considered potentially going to get altered so that it fits me even better, but it still looked absolutely beautiful at the weddings, at both of them. So I'm so thankful that I got it. The color for me is absolutely perfect. It does come in other colors, so if you're like, I like the style of the dress, but that pink isn't just not my color, go check out the other color options, but I absolutely love this dress. All right, the next thing on my list, I'm laughing because this is also not something new to me this quarter, but something that I am shocked I've never talked about before. So one of the things I also did in preparation for transitioning from the categories of favorites into just 10 things is I went back and looked at all of 2022 and 2021's favorites, and I made a spreadsheet of all of my old favorites. And I have them there, A, so I don't repeat things that I've already talked about, and B, so that it will jog my memory when I'm trying to think of things without working within the categories. And so I went back and filled all those in, and I was shocked that I had not talked about the Trader Joe's cold brew concentrate. I love this stuff. I have always wanted to make iced coffee at home, and I have tried so many ways to make it, and I've never felt like it tasted right. And then finally somebody was like, well, why don't you just buy pre-made iced coffee to have at home? And I was like, well, that was just the easiest answer that I never thought of. And so the next time I was at Trader Joe's, I bought this, and I literally, it is my absolutely favorite part of my day is having one of these. Even in the middle of winter, I'm still having a cold coffee. What I did last winter was I had a hot coffee first thing in the morning, and then I would have my cold brew like in the middle of the day. But this winter, I'm trying to only have 1 cup of coffee today. I say that as I drink on my second cup of coffee. So some days I am having the cold brew first thing in the morning, and that's the only coffee I have for the day. I absolutely love it. I combine mine with the oat milk, also from Trader Joe's, and then a little bit of half and half. I keep half and half on hand for hot coffee, and I used to use the Quest protein shakes and include those, and I still think that those are absolutely delicious and a great option for coffee creamer. Like, they're sweet and delicious and have a little bit of extra protein in them, but I've really been trying to cut back on like my sweet things, and one of those things that was just extra is I don't need sugar in my coffee. Like, coffee with milk is plenty for me. So that is my coffee recipe that I've been making, is that cold brew concentrate, mostly filled up to the top with oat milk, and then a little bit of half and half on top. All right, next thing on the list is a habit, a goal tip. I don't really know what to categorize this as, but something that has been working for me, and that is breaking things down in more than one way. And the biggest way I've applied this, and it's worked for me, but it's worked for me in other goals too, and I've used it with one-on-one clients, and it's worked for them too, is breaking things down in more than one way. So having a checklist, like you're breaking things down based on a checklist, but then you're also breaking things down based on time, and you're executing based on time. So for me, the way that I'm implementing this the most is with deep cleaning the apartment. So I have my like checklist of areas that I'm deep cleaning in the apartment, and that's one way that I have it broken down, but I don't schedule it into my planner in that format. Like, I don't put clean this area in my planner because that's not gonna work for me. The way that it works for me is by saying I'm gonna do deep cleaning for 30 minutes. And then whatever I get done, sometimes I get to check something off on the other list and sometimes I don't. But what's important is that I am making it fit into my calendar and into my schedule. So I don't even know if that is making sense to you. In my brain, it makes sense that like I'm breaking it down both by area, but then also by time, because one of the features of a breakdown that I've talked about before is that it has to fit into your schedule. And I don't actually know how long these things are gonna take. I can guess, but I don't actually know how long these areas are going to take to deep clean. So in order to put it in my schedule, I have to do it based on an amount of time. And you could apply this to other goals as well, but what it's doing for me is allowing it to be broken down so that I know what I'm working on, right? If I only broke it down and said, I'm gonna work on deep cleaning 30 minutes, you know, every 2 times a week, but I don't actually break down the areas, then when it comes time to work on it, I'm gonna stare like a deer in the headlights and not know where to start. And then on the flip side, if I only broke it down by area and then I put in my calendar, I'm gonna deep clean this area, and I give it 30 minutes, but then after 30 minutes I don't finish, I'm gonna feel like I didn't accomplish anything. So by breaking it down in 2 ways, it's really allowing me to avoid the decision deer in the headlights moment, but also not feel like I'm not making progress because I'm scheduling time that fits into my calendar. And the last favorite thing I have, or just thing that's saving my life, is really a mindset, a quote, just something that I was reminded of as I was going through all those old favorites, right? I'm making a list of favorites from lots of past quarters, and I realized most of them still apply. Like, there are a lot of things. I talked about plan to eat, I talked about wine app, I talked about doing laundry once a day. Like, all of these things that I've talked about in these prior favorites videos all still apply. So what is saving my life right now is that if it's not broken, don't fix it. I think this can be especially hard as a content creator, that I'm like, I need to change it up. I need to try new things so that I have new things to talk about. But the truth is that I've found over the years a lot of things that work for me, and I don't feel the need to change those just so that I have more things to talk about, which is another reason why I switched from categories into just 10 favorite things or 10 things saving my life, because I don't want to have to force into those categories if there's nothing new there. And there are a lot of categories that there is nothing new because I have found what works and I've stuck to it. So if it's not broken, don't fix it. Hopefully there was something in this video that you needed to hear, or something that you are excited to add to your wish list for the holidays. And hopefully you still like these favorites videos. I am planning to continue them into 2023, again, with just a top 10 list of things that I am loving right now. So if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, please click that subscribe button. I upload new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday focused on helping you achieve your goals. Thank you so much for watching. She just lists things, and every day,